Alright, so we're going to be going through our training video here for how to quote and issue an auto policy here in GPA. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to this right hand corner and I'm going to click quote. So this is where we'll be able to put in our client's basic information and then be able to go through our quote. Again, this is just putting in some of my basic info for our person, and then we're going to hit search. So now it's looking to see if this person already has an existing account. So as you can see, this is someone that we use a lot here in our test examples, but I'm going to click continue as new customer, so we're going to assume that none of these are the same person that we're looking for. So here is where I will go in and put in all my information. So this is the same things that you're already used to seeing over in Policy Center if that's where you're used to working. So then we're going to put in our client's date of birth, which in this case is going to be January 9th of 1947. And again, this is a lot of the stuff that you're used to seeing, your basic contact information, you know, dates of birth, contact info, email, phone number, all that fun sort of stuff. Now, once I put all that in, we'll click next. So this is just reviewing some of that basic info. We're doing an auto policy in North Carolina, what our effective date is. So this is where I can change it. Now in our case, we're going to say that it is effective for October 9th of 2019. Your producer will already be pre-filled here for you. And then you'll tell us which product you're wanting to choose. Now, if I say personal auto, you'll notice that there's this quote for name non-owners, so I could click there if that is the one that I wanted to do. But we're not going to do that in this case, so I'm just going to click next. So here is where we are going to go in and put in all of our information when it comes to membership. So if I did say no, they are not a member, you'll notice that's where my quote as member functionality will show up. But in this case, we are going to say they're a member. So if they happen to have their 16-digit membership number, this is where you can enter it. If not, you can put in their information down here, first and last name, as well as date of birth. So we're going to be using my information to validate a membership. Because again, some people will have their 16-digit number, but a lot of people are not. So you can go in here and search by their first name, last name, and then their date of birth. And then this will talk out to Members Connect. And we will search. And then you can see here it pulled in this person's membership. We'll just select the radio button to validate it. Do they have other products like home, umbrella, anything like that? This is going to be our question about insurance score, about do we have the client's permission to run the insurance score. And then this bottom section is the FCRA disclosure. So this is again just for you as a producing agent. This is not to be read out to a client. And it needs to be yes. If you say no, it is going to stop you dead in the water. Alright, so it has pulled in this person's insurance information for their prior carrier. They do have a current policy. It's with not one of the carriers on the list, and then their current limits are 5,100. Now, if this was blank, you would be able to go in and edit this information and just input whatever they currently have. So this is what it's going to look like when data prefill fires. It will pull in drivers in that household as well as their vehicles. So as you can see here, it is pulling in my one person and then 4 different vehicles. Now I'm going to get rid of some of these. We're going to get rid of this 98 Windstar, and then I'm going to click remove on the 88 Chrysler. So we'll leave him with a Mitsubishi Galant and a 94 Caddy DeVille. And then I will click next. So this is my drivers tab. So we're going to do a personal auto policy. You can do standalone motorcycle because this is North Carolina. If it was a South Carolina policy, I wouldn't have that option. Driver status is either going to be rated or non-rated for North Carolina. You'll see a third one in South Carolina that says excluded. But we're going to say this is a rated driver. This is a lot of that basic information you're used to filling in. If the client has provided their social security number, then this is where you would input that. We strongly encourage you to try and get that social here on the front side because it will sometimes help you to pull in a more accurate insurance score. Their education level, occupation, again, these are the same things that you're used to seeing over in Policy Center. This is going to be where the driver's license number will either pre-fill or you'll need to enter it in yourself. Now you'll notice GPA simply asks you what is the age first licensed in the United States. So we're going to say this person was licensed at 16. In Policy Center, it's actually asking for their official date they got their license. Here we're just asking for the age. And then you are familiar with these questions. Do we want to do a motorcycle in this quote? We're going to say no. And has the person had any accidents or violations in the last 3 years? We will say no here as well. Now, if we needed to add another driver that pre-fill did not return, I could click the Add Driver button here. But we don't, so we are going to click Next, which will take us to our vehicles. So here you can see we've got those vehicles, the Mitsubishi and the Cadillac. And then there is some information I have to fill in for each. Who's our driver? How are they using it? And then if you say commute, you're going to need to tell how many miles they're going. This is where it's asking about the garaging address. So is the address previously entered where the garage is kept? Another way that you could phrase this to a client is your mailing address of, the Advanced in North Carolina the same place that this is being garaged? Here's our ownership question about to own, lease, or make payments. We're going to say that they own. And then these are our 3 questions that, again, you see over in Policy Center as well, about customizations to the vehicle. Is there a salvage title, and is there any existing physical damage? So that's everything for the Mitsubishi. Now I need to edit the information on the Cadillac. Now I'm going to say that this is his pleasure car. He just likes driving around his caddy when he's not working. Fill in all the remaining information as well. And now if there's other vehicles, I could click Add. If not, I can click Next. Now, if for whatever reason I still wanted to remove one of these, there is a delete button here beside each vehicle. So you can still remove vehicles if you did not do that on the pre-fill screen. Now, as I click Next, you'll notice it says Calculating Quote. So it's coming up with our price points. And then once this is finished, it is going to bring us to our coverages screen. And then from there, we'll be able to go through and manipulate. So you'll notice that it has gone through and pre-filled with our recommended limits of the 100 to 300 for the liability, 50,000 for the property damage for both our standard and then for our UM/UIM coverages. You can manipulate those if you want to change these in the drop down depending on what the client is requesting. You do have your medical payments coverage here as well, so we're going to add on medical payments at $2,000. This is where you could go in and add your comprehensive and collision if the client does want those. So let's say that this client does want, we're going to put comprehensive on the $2,000. So now the deductible becomes available, so we'll give him $100 deductible. And we'll do liability only on that 94 Cadillac because that is an older vehicle. Now, if you as an agent are wanting to kind of get a little bit more information about what each of these mean, you can sit there and hover over this information icon, and then it's going to give you a little sort of info tip about what that coverage happens to be. Now, you'll notice collision showed up only after you have selected comprehensive because you cannot have collision without also having comprehensive. Now, if I added collision, that is where, let's for the sake of training purposes show you what this will look like. You'll notice this is where all of those endorsements show up. Things like towing and labor, extended transportation, new car replacement, all of those are going to show up after you have clicked collision. So I'm going to uncheck collision for our purposes here. Policy term, it is going to default to annual because we do prefer writing annual policies. The payment plan will default to monthly, and then it's going to default for your billing method to receive invoice. Now I'm going to say that this person wants to do auto draft. So we're going to pull it from an EFT or RCC. Now, because I made changes of adding on comprehensive and collision, and then I put in the medical payments, it wants me to recalculate. So I'm going to click my recalculate, the little calculator. And so that's where now it's going to go through and it's going to be running some numbers for you. Now the price point that it is going to bring back here will not have reports ran yet, so it is just based on the information that we put in. It hasn't pulled the insurance score really at this point. It hasn't, run the MVR or anything like that. So you can see now down here it's telling me that this would be put with the member's insurance company. We've got our down payment amount, whatever our monthly payment amount would be, and then the total annual premium. So if they wanted to proceed at this point, I can click continue. So this is just reviewing the policy information, everything that we've got put in so far. Now if they did want to go ahead now, I can click my order reports button. So this is where MVR, clue, and insurance score are going to be run. All right, so now I know that it's working its way through. There we go. All right, so now I can see my down payment has changed, and it does tell me premium change due to report activity. So now this would be my down payment is the $121.13, and then my monthly payments. Now right down here in the bottom in blue is where you can see some of those links. So we can see the insurance score came back as a W. Now remember that usually means one of two things. Either W is a valid insurance score. It could be they have a very low insurance score, but sometimes that also could be a no hit. I can review my clue and review my MVR here as well. So if I wanted to, I could click Manage Reports in PC, and then what this will do is it's going to open up another tab and it'll drop you into Policy Center within that quote. So then I could go to the risk analysis screen and see what the MVR came back for driving activity. But again, you already know kind of what that looks like. So we're going to proceed to bind and make payment as if the client does want to go ahead and issue this policy. All right, so document signature, how do they want to complete their application? So we're going to say they want to do an electronic signature. And then this is where we validate the email address that they want that e-signature sent to. We've already selected everything for our payment plans. Now it's asking, do you want it to pull from a bank account or a credit card each month? So we are going to say credit or debit card. And then which date? We're going to say just the 9th of each month. A lot of times it is easier to keep your effective date and your draft date the same. It helps us anytime there's problems, maybe when it comes to a renewal. So we're going to set it as the exact same date for the 9th, and then we're going to click next. All right, I can click next. So here's where I'm going to go in and put in my information for our card. Do they want the billing address the same as the mailing address? We'll say yeah, and authorize card. All right, so confirm that you want to charge $121.13 to this Visa ending in 1111. This is the card that will be saved and will be charged for all future installments. I'm going to check the box that we acknowledge we have read and accepted the electronic payment transaction terms. You can click on that to read that out to the client. It will also be something they have to sign as part of their e-sign on the application. All right, so the card has still not been charged yet at this point. Now, as soon as I click Purchase Policy, this is where the payment is being processed. If there was an issue with the card, this is where it will give you an error screen. But it is going through and processing everything for us now. So in a moment, it'll show up with our policy number, our effective date. So now all of our information is right here. So this policy has been issued. So if I needed to, I can click on my policy number, and then it is going to drop me into their policy. So once the documents and everything generate, I would be able to see copies of the documents here. Now again, this is a live policy, so I could pull this up over in Policy Center as well. All right, guys, so that is the quote to issue for auto policies in GPA. Thank you very much for attending.